Damn it! No! Ah! What the? Dude, today sucks. This has been the worst day ever. Can't catch shad, can't catch catfish. They got rid of the nachos, and my bang's warm.
Through barrel.
I've never actually read that box. Okay. All right, ready? Okay. All the cameras going. Good. Started off with a cough.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, everyone. Welcome to the Peelin Drag Podcast. I am Josh Dolan.
And I am Grant Alvis.
And this is a revamp or restart of a podcast that we initially did, I think, in like 2013.
Like 5 or 6 years ago. More than that, probably.
2014, something like that. Yeah, it's been longer than 5 or 6 years. We're getting old. But needless to say, if we'd have stuck with podcasting back then, we may not be working our day jobs, but we went ahead and let Joe Rogan and the podcast world explode, and we're still working.
We were right there at his heels, right at the beginning,
Yeah.
and then he pulled away.
Yeah. If you have ever seen our initial Peelin Drag podcast, which you probably haven't, it doesn't have very many views on YouTube, but it was very awkward and very stiff, and we didn't know what we were doing, and we thought we had a lot of stuff to say, but we really didn't know anything, so instead, I think we have about a decade's worth of knowledge on top of that, and we have a lot of stories and all that good stuff. So,
should go a lot easier and a lot more loose now.
Yeah, we're not going to take it serious at all. So, anyway, this is the Peeling Drag Podcast. It's part of the Have Rods Will Travel podcast network. So there's this podcast. There's Have Rods Will Travel. I do with David Graham. David Graham has his own podcast, Boundless Pursuit, and I have a podcast I do solo called Species Specific, where we just talk about individual species and chasing trophy fish and that sort of thing. So there's plenty out there if you want to search for it and see maybe what your flavor is. But
are we going to leave the old podcasts up?
yeah, the old podcasts are on...
That'll be a nice compare and contrast for everybody.
Yeah, they're on the Have Rods Will Travel YouTube. These will be...
We were all wedged in that little room in your old house.
Yeah. I was in a...
We were in a room that was about as wide as this table, and we had to sit on the same side of the table together.
Yeah,
We're sitting there like...
very awkward, like two, like a couple sitting beside each
Today we're going to talk about ring perch.
yeah, it was very embarrassing if you go back and look at it now, but I don't know, it was just weird, like a couple sitting beside each other at a booth at a restaurant. It was very weird.
It was awkward.
But anyway, this is going to be a little structured. We're going to kind of go through segments as we do this thing, and then we'll either talk about specific topics, listener questions if you have them, but our main focus is probably going to be just telling fish stories and all the ridiculous stuff that's happened over the years until we run out of those, and then we'll find something else to talk about.
We're not going to run out of them. We're still fishing.
Yeah, we're still
goofy
fishing.
Stuff
and
still happens.
Still
every
making dumb things happen.
Making memories.
Yeah. So anyway, but as we learned the past 2 hours or so, we've been sitting here messing with all this stuff. Getting a podcast set up is incredibly challenging. So I watched a YouTube video on trying to set up audio, and none of it seemed to go right until I completely ignored the video and did it myself. So we're good. But anyway, I guess we'll kick it off with our segment, just what's new in fishing news. What is happening now? Do you want to go first?
Yeah, let me see if I can remember the dude's name. I said I was going to remember it, and, it was like 3 minutes ago, so I've already forgotten.
Okay, well, I'll go first.
Yeah, you do that.
I have 2 stories from the IGFA. Let's see. One is... Actually, both are... Well, one's fairly recent and one's from 2020. So we'll start with the story from 2020. The IGFA all-tackle world record for Almaco Jack stood for over 55 years until May 28, 2020, when a man from Japan, I won't even begin to try to pronounce that, and I didn't practice it ahead of time. His last name is Musada.
Go ahead and try and pronounce it and get us canceled right off the bat.
Kiyofumi Musada caught this massive 136-pound Almaco jack, which, if you're familiar with jacks and the power of that species of fish...
Almaco or an amber?
Albaco jack. So... absolutely ridiculous.
Interesting.
Yeah, giant fish. So that's pretty interesting. What's kind of strikes me is it only took him 15 minutes to land, which is, for 100...
The crazy thing is that's an Almaco. Like, when we catch them down there in North Carolina, like, the amberjacks are, 60, 70, 80 pounds, whatever. But like an Albaco jack, they're usually the nuisance ones that are like 4 pounds, 6 pounds. They're the ones that get eaten by amberjacks on the way up.
Well, I don't know if this one was a byproduct of Fukushima or something, but... absolutely massive. And then my second story for the day, November 20th of 2022, Catherine Jones was fishing off a dock in Pungo Creek, North Carolina, when she landed this massive 11-pound, 3-ounce speckled trout. And it can potentially...
Does she look really familiar to you?
I don't know.
I think she just looks like everybody's, like, aunt.
Yeah, that's fair. But she can potentially set the IGFA women's 20-pound line class world record, which, if you see that fish, that is an absolute gator trout. And
yeah, that's huge.
I hope she was fishing for it.
How long was it?
How long was it?
Doesn't say.
Doesn't say how long. It says 11-pound, 3-ounce, which is huge.
It doesn't look like overly fat in the picture. I'm imagining that thing's like 34, 35 inches long.
Yeah, I mean, if you really look at it, like the head of that thing is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, when they get that big, they start looking like a striper, like 1/3 of their body length is head.
Right, but once again, landed after a 15-minute fight. So 136-pound Almaco jack and a 11-pound, 3-ounce speckled trout both take 15 minutes to land. So, interesting. But
probably weren't caught on the same tackle.
No. But the fish struck a live menhaden, and she caught it, I think I already said this, caught it off a dock in Pungo Creek. So
it's weird to have live bunker fishing off the bank.
Oh, yeah. Bunker, yeah, right. Yeah, I feel like it might just be one of those deals where she was at a vacation home and cast it out, and like that video they're filming down in Outer Banks, and the shark comes up.
Oh, yeah, the shark eats the redfish.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Oh my god, it's a shark!
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen. So
yeah.
But props to her. It's Catherine Jones fishing in Pungo Creek, North Carolina.
Congrats, Kathy. Aunt Kathy.
Yeah.
Somebody's aunt.
The line class stuff's interesting because it opens the door for, like, so many different world records to be caught. So
yeah, but, like, that thing is... The thing that I saw that too, because I remember that, I think I meant to talk to you about that. What are the chances she was fishing with IGFA legal line?
I don't know. Depends on...
Well, I wonder if it's like, what if she was using, like, let's say Trilene XL that's like 15 pound. Mm-hmm. It doesn't test out for the 12 pound record or whatever, but it might test out for 20.
Yeah, that's usually... When I went down and I went to the...
Because, like, I guess it doesn't have to be straight original 20 to qualify for a 20-pound record.
As long as it qualifies somehow. So when I went to the IGFA headquarters back in September, they take the line that comes in and they soak it in just distilled water for X amount of time, and then they test it, and whatever it tests out at. If it doesn't say... you have 12-pound line. If it doesn't test out at 12, it might test for 15 or 20 or whatever. But
so, like, if your record breaks, it's like if you turned in something on 8, your line doesn't test out for 8, but it does test out for 12.
I think. I don't know, because it gets... I actually don't know the answer to that, because then it gets hairy, because you could just say there's a 50-pound... Because you know how, like, the larger line classes, it gets kind
Doesn't
of...
it stop at 20, then goes to all tackle?
I don't really know with smaller species like that, because it's like...
Well, I know they got rid of the like the panfish and stuff, because that was stupid. Yeah. Like 20-pound line class for...
Yeah, shad, when I was doing the line class stuff for shad, I think there was like a 12, a 20, and maybe like a 30, but I don't know. There's 50 and 130 for like certain species, but I don't know if you can use like 8 and then just keep catching stuff on 8 and turning it into other stuff. I think I might be completely wrong on that. I don't know, but Anyway, that's my 2 stories. What do you have?
The only one I really had was if anybody keeps up with the bass fishing world this time of year, in the last about 3 years, it's gotten ridiculous down in Texas and really all over the country, but mainly in Texas with their share lunker program and all that stuff. Ever since, and I mean, people could say it's not, I don't really care what they say. Live scope has obviously changed the game with this wintertime fishing. Like, everybody knows it has. And these Texas lakes with the share lunker program, do a quick backstory. It all kind of really blew up about, I think it was, how long ago did Live Scope come out? Like 5 years ago?
Probably.
Yeah, it was like right after Live Scope came out. And originally, the guys who were getting the most use out of Live Scope, and if you don't know what Live Scope is, it's a forward-facing sonar, literally a live image. It's radar, essentially.
Yeah.
But you can actively see your lure and the fish swimming around. Anyway, the guys who were getting the most use out of it was crappie fishermen. They were going around on these lakes in Texas and Alabama and all these big, giant crappie lakes, and they were finding schools of crappie in the wintertime, and just instantly all these giant, huge slab crappie were getting caught. Well, one guy decided, hey, I see all these big fish swimming around these schools of crappie on my live scope, and I think they're bass. What do I need to do to catch big suspended bass in the wintertime? Down south, it never gets so cold that you really have to throw a jerk bait or any of those baits. So the dude goes and gets somebody at a tackle shop, rigs him up with an A-rig, Alabama rig, and he starts throwing it at these fish. And like 4th or 5th day out there doing it, this guy catches like a 62-pound bag of 5 fish. Fast forward, it's been 5 years now. These lakes down in Texas, OHIV, Fork, all the big, huge lakes that are known for giant fish, with this share lunker program, all these guys are catching giants now. Well, it's getting more and more pressure every year, but this kid, Dalton Smith, as far as I know and as far as everybody knows, managed to land 2 14-pound fish in one day. And the crazy thing about it is they were essentially on separate trips. Went out and caught a 1469 in the morning. Well, it was his second day there. His buddy caught an 1111 the first day. The second day, they catch a 1469. They run the boat back to the boat ramp, go get it weighed in, get his pictures, get all the certificates and everything for the share lunker program, release the fish, and not even 15 minutes later, they return to a different spot, and he catches another one.
Yeah.
That's just nuts. I mean, that's got to say something about the share lunker program. But the crazy thing is, for the past 3 or 4 years, all these fish have been getting caught on A-rigs, big, schooling bait rigs. This kid caught both of these fish on a 2.8-inch, a itty-bitty little swim bait.
Yeah. That's pretty ridiculous.
Freaking nuts.
Well, it's funny because, you think of all the times dudes catch, 8, 9, 10-pound fish on crappie jigs.
Yeah.
It just makes you think. But, I think it was that guy you're talking about, and Josh Jones, another big-time bass dude.
What did he do, a 60-pound bag, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah,
3 weeks ago?
It's insane. These guys are catching teener bass. I think you told me the stat over the phone the other day. More.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was. I saw that on Texas Parks and Wildlife. They released a study last year that said in the last 4 years, and I think that number 4 is specific due to when Live Scope came out. They didn't specifically say it, but in the last 4 years, more teener largemouth have been caught in Texas and registered and turned in than the previous 30 years combined.
Right.
So that's not just share lunker. That's obviously something has changed.
Well, I think when you look at statistics like that, it kind of opens your eyes to realize that there's way more big fish out there than what people really realize.
Yeah.
Thing is, once those fish go suspended, they're almost impossible to catch unless you have something like that.
Yeah, you don't know those fish are there. And even if you don't have Live Scope and you mark them on side scan and stuff, that's not accurate enough in the delay. You're not going to be able to find that fish.
Yeah, I mean, that fish suspended is probably moving 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
And if you if you pass over him with static sonar, our traditional...
Yeah, you just marked where the fish was at one point. By the time you whip the boat around to get back to where that fish is, you don't know where the hell he is.
I also have no idea what direction he's going either. Yeah. It's something that I've been struggling with personally because I can't afford live scope yet, and I'm trying to catch a brown trout, and these brown trout are suspended in a lake,
which is 200 feet deep.
Well, yeah, it's probably like 50 or 60, 70 foot deep, and they're suspended at like 25.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I can try to do a workaround and use maybe a spider rig, so when I see them, I can catch them. But it's just, live scopes opened up the door to potentially targeting and catching these giant fish that go offshore and suspend like that. And that's with all species. It's not just bass. It's muskie, it's trout, it's these big panfish species.
We were talking about one of the coolest videos we've ever seen with live scope was Aaron Weeb on Uncut Angling, vertical jigging a giant Alabama rig, jigging for muskie.
Yeah.
And this was right when live scope came out. This
wasn't even an Alabama rig. It's literally like the offshore.
It was one of those big, like 3-4 foot wide umbrella rigs that he put big Shadzillas on.
Yeah.
And he's jigging it, and you see plain as day on the screen. And this was right when it came out. So this is like the old live scope.
Yeah.
And you see it plain as day. Fish turns broadside. It's like, that's a muskie. And he just T-bones it. It's
the
nuts.
world of sonar is definitely opening the door to catching a lot more of these fish, but it's also making it difficult for kind of everybody because those fish can't hide. I mean, literally, fish can't hide anymore. So you can't really get lucky anymore. You have to sort of sharpen your sword and get good at this type of fishing if you want to catch these fish and keep up with everybody that is catching these fish.
And the other thing that goes along with that is like the guys, it's the same idea as like guys in the flats and stuff using drones to find like redfish and tarpon schools. Like I have a little bit of an issue with that because, like, really the only defense those fish have is, like, the dark water and stuff. And now when you get, bird's eye view of them, that's kind of...
Yeah, I mean...
There's no more hunting anymore. You're literally just like, let me just drive this around. There they are. Boom. And I don't know.
Yeah, a cat's out of the bag, for sure. I mean, you're not getting the toothpaste back in the tube. The technology is finally here. We've been working with down imaging, side imaging, all that stuff for years now. 360 mega.
We've essentially had the same general sonar. Side imaging came out about 10 years ago, maybe 15 years. Probably 10.
Like 10. And I think I had the first HDS unit on a kayak around here at least. Yeah. And that was probably...
Now people have live scope on kayaks.
That was 2014. It maybe came out a year or two prior to that. So I had people at the boat ramp acting like I was crazy because I had a $1,000 unit on a kayak, and now people have multiple of those.
Yeah, people have a 12-inch live scope screen and a 12-inch HDS screen.
Yeah, it's nuts. But with that being said, the world of, Panoptics and active target, live scope, all this stuff, it's making it impossible for the fish to hide anymore. But
I think it's also like a double-edged sword though, because like not only it's impossible for them to hide, I still think it's going to make them harder to catch in the long run. Because perfect example, when this live scope stuff first started in Texas, everybody was just catching them on A-rigs. It was just go down to Texas, run your live scope unit, throw an A-rig. There's the fish, throw it. If he doesn't bite it, go to find another one. Now, like this kid Dalton Smith, he caught them on 2.5-inch long swim baits, like an itty bitty little swim bait, like. And I've been seeing these other companies now, they're still adamant about the A-rig, but they're calling it the Cure. It's the clear umbrella rig. It's an umbrella rig made out of 150-pound mono for the cross members and everything. So anything you can do to disguise an A-rig, because it sounds like these fish are getting wised up to an A-rig. Like Josh Jones, that 60-pound bag he caught, those fish were called a swim jig.
Yeah.
Something different.
Well, I mean, if you rewind a couple of years to when the A-rig came out, it was the same deal.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about how it's changing fishing. We're getting better at catching these fish, but every year that goes by, every day that these fish spend in their ecosystem getting targeted, especially on lakes like OHIV, they're getting smarter.
Yeah.
So this technology is going to work really well right now. But once these fish wise up and get even harder,
I'm just ready for like 4 years from now when live scope is on like the $99 units at Walmart.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Everybody can catch it. Everybody can have it.
Afford it by then. But no, I mean that's just the deal. The big thing comes around and everybody buys it. Everybody gets good at it, and the fish wise up and they get tougher to catch. Everything balances itself out. There's no magic pill to catching fish. The second you think you have it figured out and you have the edge on other people, those fish are going to get harder to catch, and then it's going to be back to kind of the same balance it is. The guys that are spending every day on the water and really flexing that muscle and knowing what the fish want and how to catch
Yeah, I
them.
mean, you look at these guys catching these big ones, like you see a lot of the famous people catching them, but that's the thing. They're going there for like a week.
Yeah.
They're not just showing up like, hey, it's Friday, let's drive down to Texas, fish Saturday, Sunday morning, drive home.
Yeah.
I mean, you may catch one or two, but these guys are going down there for a week and catching like 3.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, live scope is really good for like specific, suspended fish or panfish, but like you guys fishing Kentucky Lake or the spotted bass, stuff like that. But your river fishing, it's still not going to be that helpful.
No.
I mean, your shallow water stuff, it's really...
It's the thing that I don't agree with bass and MLF as well is they're not fishing tidal water that much anymore.
Yeah.
They're pretty much sticking straight to lakes, and unless you're fishing Florida or like a couple of those lakes in Georgia where like the deepest point's only 15 feet.
Yeah.
Everybody's just going offshore now. I mean, everybody knows that's where those big fish go after the spawn. I mean, other than 2 months out the year, all those big fish aren't shallow anyway. Yeah. So that's why live scopes come out, is you got to follow those fish offshore when they get done.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see like where all of this ends up 5 more years from now.
The electronics business is too big. You hear everybody, live scope should be banned. No. Garmin, Lowrance, Minn Kota, not Minn Kota, Garmin, Lowrance, Humminbird, all the main depth finder companies, they donate so much money, spend so much money to be sponsors of these events.
Yeah.
That stuff's never going to go anywhere.
No.
Like, it'll always, the electronics will just keep advancing.
Like I said, dude, everything balances itself out. The guys that are good at catching fish will be good at catching fish regardless, and the people that don't spend the time to get good you're not these guys out here that buy live scope and think they're going to unpack it and immediately start catching fish. You have a whole new, it's just like anything else. You have a whole new system to learn.
Yeah, I forget his name. The last one dude got in on the MLF series. It was like one of the local guys. He qualified for an MLF tournament, and he was in like a 1990s Stratus.
I feel like I remember that.
But he had hardly any electronics on it, and everybody was like screaming like, "Yeah, man, live scope, don't catch him." I'm like, guys, this is one dude out of it's not like the last 10 years. Right. We've got one of these stories. I'm not saying it can't happen, but it was one dude on his local body of water. Yeah, he might not need live scope. But,
we live on the James here in Richmond, and it's the same deal. You'll have Mike Iaconelli and all these big names come down here to fish the tidal water, but the guys that fish it regularly, the local dudes, they're the ones they're gonna.
Iaconelli's really the only big name that ever competes well down here, but that's because I think his wife is from Hopewell.
I don't know.
He's got family. He's got family to where he fishes the James a reasonable amount, like throughout the year. So when he comes here, he already has kind of like a milk run set up.
I think he has a pretty extensive like tidal water background too, because he's from Jersey. I'm sure a lot of their stuff up there's probably tidal, but I don't know, man. The James can be a hard one to really nail down, even if you do live and fish here every day.
2 years ago, or was it 3 years ago, when he won or came in second? No, he won the Northern Open recently. I think it might have been 4 or 5 years ago, but he actually didn't go to the Chick. Yeah. And almost everybody just runs all the way down to the Chickahominy because that's where they put all the Florida fish in. Mm-hmm. He actually never set foot in the Chick that week, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
That I don't know if anyone's won a tournament in the James without running to the Chick in a while.
Yeah. I actually have a funny Mike Iaconelli story. And Harley, who's sitting in here with us right now, was a part of that. There's no camera or mic on her yet, but there will be eventually. We just don't have any money right now. We can't afford to do that. But
please like and subscribe. we're begging you.
We're poor. Help. No. I think it was our anniversary or something. It was something like that. We were going out to eat. And before we did that, we stopped at Dick's Sporting Goods out in Short Palm out here.
I remember you telling me this. Yeah, this is a long time ago.
Virginia or Richmond, hopefully you don't, because it means you're listening from somewhere other than our neighborhood friends. We have this part of Richmond. It's people want to think they're high class out here. They have a really indoor fancy.
I live in the West End.
Yeah, the West End, the indoor outdoor mall and all that stuff. But there's a giant double decker Dick's. It's this huge.
It's a sporting goods store.
It's this huge double-decker Dick's Sporting Goods.
It is probably one of the biggest ones anywhere. I mean, that one is huge.
Yeah,
it's like
a huge Dick's.
Like imagine if you had like a traditional indoor mall. This Dick's is like the size of the Dillards or the Sears or the Macy's. It's massive.
Really big Dick's. Anyway, we went in. I don't know what we might have just been walking around. I don't know, but we were like walking out to go like eat where we were gonna eat for whatever we were celebrating. I don't know, but I look and there's this dude there with his kid, and this is early on in my fishing career, so I thought I knew what I was doing. I didn't, but
oh my god!
Apparently, I knew enough to judge other people without having any idea about them. I like walk by, and this guy's got like a Snoopy rod, like just all this random stuff, like a Snoopy rod, a couple crankbaits, jig, like random stuff. I'm like, what is this dude doing? And just me being an idiot, I'm like, that dude doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Like, walk outside, and Mike Iaconelli's like jacked up truck is sitting there. I'm like,
rod boxes and all that crap.
And it took like 3 seconds for me to realize, oh shit, that's Mike Iaconelli. Oh, he does know what he's doing. And like, I turned to Harley and I'm like, that was Mike Iaconelli. Like, oh, I'm like, this is my first experience with like meeting someone like that.
I remember you telling me about this.
He like comes out and I'm like,
we couldn't figure out why he was at Dick's.
It was a Northern Open. He's sponsored by Dick's. At least he was at that time. So I think he was probably like filling a quota or buying stuff for his kid. I don't know. He definitely didn't deserve me judging him for no reason, but I definitely did that. I'm like, this dude doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He's buying all this random stuff, you know. Real hotshot fisherman that has no idea what the hell I'm talking about. Anyway, he comes out. And I'm like, oh, cool. I walked over to him. I'm like, Mike Iaconelli, oh, hey, man. And it just so happened that I read something that he wrote about, like, drop shot fishing.
Yeah.
Like, that day. I'm like, oh, man, I just read an article that you wrote. He's like, okay, probably has no idea what I'm talking about. It was, like, on one of those bass resource websites. They probably write stuff, and he just signs his name to it. Just like, yep, that's good. He had no clue.
Just give you the paycheck.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm like, oh, man, I read an article you wrote about drop shot or jerkbait fishing or something like that. I'm like, cool. It's so great to meet you. He's like, oh, hey, man, yeah, cool. I'm like, all right, see you later. I just left and didn't get a photo, an autograph, anything. I'm like, oh, hey, man, it's so great to meet you. Just read it. And he's like, yeah, I'm with my kid. Like, can we go? I'm like, all right, see you later. And I have no proof I ever met him. So just super fun. I don't know. Just complete foot in mouth. Look like an idiot. Yeah, so I learned my lesson there. I don't joke with people anymore.
I saw he actually, he's coming back to professional bass fishing. They're like, I don't know exactly how it is. I think.
Yeah, didn't he retire or something?
He retired from like the Elite Series, but I think he's planning on still fishing like certain opens. Like he fishes the Northern Open right down the road every year, but I think he's gonna do like a bunch of guys do and just do the whole Open circuit, which he's got enough sponsors where he could like just drive around the country and do it.
You're about to say enough money.
It'd be the same thing.
Yeah. Well, no, he's cool, man.
It doesn't matter how much money he's got. He's not paying for anything.
Mike Iaconelli's loaded. No, just kidding. Anyway. But, yeah, that's my story of meeting Mike Iaconelli and having absolutely no proof I ever met Mike Iaconelli. So, good stuff. But anyway, so I guess we'll move on from all this. You had a fishing tackle thing. We have
we're going to occasionally, or may not be at every podcast thing, because who knows, new tackle doesn't always come out like left and right. But as certain stuff comes about, we'll, if we feel like it's noteworthy, we'll bring it up. Rod brand that we both use heavily, Temple Fork Outfitters just came out with, this is about a couple months ago, came out with their new line of bass rods. They've had a couple lines in the professional series, which is like the more economical, $100 rod series, still has their lifetime warranty. Then you've got the tactical, which is a step up. Originally, those were the Gary Loomis design blanks. And now you've got the new series, the Resolve bass rods. And they say bass, but they still have all, saltwater grade components. The only thing I was a little upset about is they don't have a short casting rod, like for a jerkbait rod. Or like around here, a lot of times throw a spinnerbait and do real close quarters spinnerbait fishing. Like, you like something like a 6'8" or a 6'10" medium heavy, pitching a spinnerbait like 20 feet, working it through a tree, and then just, speed fishing. They don't have something in that size, but they got just about everything else. And they do have kind of an interesting size. They call it a medium plus. So you go from a 7-foot medium to a 7-foot medium plus. Then you go to a 7.3 medium heavy. The medium plus is just like an extra fast medium. But anyway, just some neat things about them. Let's see if I can read down the old features list here.
I feel like TFO is coming out with a new rod line like every year.
Yeah, they're either coming out with new ones or they're redoing them. Because like the professional series rods they just got redone too, and they have literally been the same since I started working at Bass Pro like 12 years ago. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, the Resolves, they're actually the first rod series that is being made in their new factory. They just got a new factory in August in Texas, so these are a made in America rod. They're right around $270. They're finest carbon fiber technology that you could get. They're new C guides with stainless steel tangle-free inserts, silicon nitride inserts, so they're the hardest, lightest rings available on the market, and the same AAA cork grips. I think TFO is getting away from the wind grips, which doesn't bother me. I'm not a big
what is that?
The wind grip fan, like the rubberized kind of soft ones.
I hate those.
They're okay in the wintertime, but in the summertime, my hands sweat. So I'm all right if they don't put those on there.
Mom spaghetti.
But they also, one thing I like, TFO has always been known for how most of their rods are split grips, and they have the colored butt section in between the two. Instead of like the neon colored butt sections, we don't have a TFO in here right now.
I mean, we have a fly rod.
Yeah, that's TFO Axiom 2X fly rod, but anyway.
It's a $400 fly rod for decor.
Yeah. We got it like that, but we're poor.
No, we don't. I have to take that off the wall when I want to use it.
Yeah, when Josh wants to fish, we have to take apart the studio.
Yeah.
But anyway, instead of having the whole butt section a single color, they just went to like little caps. So you've just got like a little yellow ring and like a beauty band on the rod blank, which I like. It's a lot cleaner look.
Do you have a photo of it?
Yeah, I'm looking for it. Hold on.
That might be challenging considering I'm going blind.
So... yeah, so you can see the tip of the rod. You see how they just have the little beauty band there?
Okay. Yeah,
and then trying to see if the see, look at the butt section. You just have
that's cool. Yeah,
you have the colored metal rings that slide on the blank.
That's solid.
Oh yeah, and the actual butt is the color too, like the cap.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of a nice clean look to them. And just from the pictures, it looks like they've got a lot higher grade cork. And one thing a lot of people don't pay attention to, but they tip the ends of each section of cork with foam.
Yeah.
I love that. If you're from the bottom, like when you have a split grip, you don't want to have that hard edge of cork because it starts crumbling. Mm-hmm. You put that little foam disc up against the end of the cork, and
like
that's
a buffer.
Yeah. It basically anything that bumps into the rod or anything over time as you grip that would make it like crumble or get weak, that foam absorbs it. That's one of the best things you can do.
Well, joke's on you. I never take the plastic off of my cork. So I only discovered that cork has plastic over it like 2 years ago. So I've been fishing with all my cork handled stuff with the...
Josh has rods that are missing guides, but the cork still looks brand new.
Yeah, it's fine. But, whatever. Live and you learn.
So, new TFO Resolve bass rods. They look really solid. I think... I'm going to order one, probably the 7-foot medium spinning rod.
What's
I need
their
a new.
heaviest?
They go all the same as the rest.
So
they do go up to an extra heavy. They have a swim bait rod.
Okay, frogging and swim bait rod and all that stuff.
Not like traditional, like big swim baits, but they have like an A-rig rod and a... Here, let me look. I've got all the...
That's legit.
So yeah, 7.6 heavy, but it's rated to 2 ounces. So that's big.
Yeah, you can do a lot with that. And they have...
The frogging rod would be the 7.2 heavy because that's the fast. The 7.4 heavy is a moderate, so that's the flipping rod.
Gotcha. Well, the good thing about TFO, they all have the lifetime warranty with them. Yeah. So if you're anything like me and you break your stuff constantly, or like the last time you and I fished together, break your rod tips. Yeah.
First fishing trip together of the year.
Literally
January 1st.
Yeah. Getting ready to go fly fishing, trying to catch trout. I need a trophy brown trout.
I need a brookie.
That's for the Virginia Angler Recognition Program. We're sitting there getting our stuff ready to go, fly rods ready to go, not even under pressure or anything. Like, it's not like I had this thing.
We had the rods like strewn across like the bed of my truck.
Yeah.
And I guess he just bumped it. The rod like just fell into the bed. like has happened 1,000 times before. And he goes to pick his rod up, and 2 inches broke off the tip of the fly rod somehow. Don't even know how it happened.
Mind you, the reel fell into the bed.
Yeah, it wasn't the tip.
The tip didn't even.
The reel just went like fell 2 feet, not even 2 feet, like a foot and a half.
Before I even made my first cast into the new year,
broke a rod.
Already broke a rod. So I'm starting off really well.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, typical. But I don't know. Well, speaking of the new year, what's your fishing goals for this year? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? Do you have anything forefront of mind?
The 2 immediate ones, I want to get a brook trout and a white perch. That's just 2 of what I would consider out of the 30 species left in Virginia. Like, of 30 species we have in Virginia, I think out of the ones I have remaining, the brookie and the white perch are probably the 2 easiest. Yeah. I don't think hybrid stripers would be that hard. I think it's just a timing thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, those 2 are pretty hot on the list. And then same thing for the last couple of years. I want a 15-pound snakehead.
Yeah. We'll clarify real quick. So when he says he wants a brookie or a white perch or a hybrid striper, we've caught all of those. It's just Virginia has an angler recognition program where they set certain parameters per
trophy
species.
Requirements,
right.
Basically.
So length and width, size requirements. So you have level 4 now, don't you?
Yeah, I've got 21.
Yeah.
So every 5 species you catch, this is different species, you get a different level. Mm-hmm. So when you catch all 30, that's level 6. Right. No one's done that yet. There's one level 5.
Yeah.
You're only one away from level 5 to be the second person to ever do it.
Yeah, so it's something that gives our fishing kind of a direction or purpose. Yeah. So I talk more about that stuff in our separate podcast, species specific, if you want to tune in to listen to all that. But basically, it's just the Virginia Angler Recognition Program, Master Angler Program, whatever you want to call it. There's a bunch of different states that do something like that. I think ours is
probably the most diverse out of all of them. I mean, we literally go from
muskie to
fall fish,
blue cats, literally everything. Fall fish. Large.
We've got 30 different freshwater species.
Yeah.
I mean, gar, bowfin. I mean, native species that are introduced species, and I mean, it's a shame they don't pay a little bit more attention to it and do better with it. But we have one of the most. I mean, there's nowhere. We live just outside of Richmond, so there's nowhere in the world you could drive 2 hours east and catch 100-pound cobia and literally the largest redfish on the planet.
Yeah.
And then drive 2 hours to the west to catch native brook trout and muskie.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're in a very fortunate.
It's like the most diverse fishing area anywhere. Right. Freshwater.
So needless to say, our angler recognition program is pretty unique, and a lot of the species or requirements for the species are bigger than some of the places that are known for the individual fish.
Yeah, some of ours are a little ludicrous.
Oh, well, the brown trout that's tormented me for years now. Our trophy requirements for the brown trout are 5 pounds or 25 inches.
Yeah.
Michigan's trophy standards are 20 inches or something.
And it's ridiculous. Have lake run fish.
Yeah, they have legitimate 30+ inch brown trout out there. And I don't know. It's
25 inches for a brown. I mean, there's an 8-part YouTube series of these guys that live in Montana. It's called The Quest for the 2-Footer. They're just trying to catch a 24-incher.
Yeah.
24-incher doesn't even do it in Virginia. Yeah. You got to catch a 25.
Yeah, it's a challenging thing. If I were starting today, I would really, if I had no trophy species caught at all, and I looked at that list, I would really want them to adjust the size requirements. But at this point,
even white perch,
yeah, 13-inch white perch is gigantic. That's huge.
And everybody and their brothers will be like, I've seen a 13-inch. Well, I know where you can catch it. No, you haven't. Yeah. Every white perch you think is a citation is not. It's...
But it's always the guys that have no idea are the ones that catch a 13-inch.
Well, it's like we said the other day. I was like, if I can... the reason I hate white perch, and I hate them. I hate them. I only ever have had any experience white perch fishing where I catch them as bycatch, so I'm shad fishing, just out there trying to have a good time, just whack on some shad with the fly rod, and guess what? A white perch hits. And it's just let me strip this thing in and waste my time unhooking it, and just dumb. I can't stand them. Back or a long time ago when we used to be able to use herring for bait. Yeah. Let me jig for herring, catch all my herring. Yeah. No, I caught 87 white perch and 1 herring.
Yeah.
It's just annoying. And now it's okay, you have to catch the fish you hate, and eventually I'm going to catch it, and no one's going to care because it's a white perch. I'm not even going to care.
It's the downside about for trophy species or doing like a master angler list like that, there's stuff that's fun to fish for. Muskie, flatheads.
Well, like the brook trout, I legitimately enjoy trout fishing.
Yeah.
I hate that I'm going to have to go to some BS pay stream to catch a giant brook trout. Yeah. That's the other thing is some of our trout citations, like the rainbow trout, totally fine. Yeah. Like 22 inches, 3 pounds?
4 pounds.
4 pounds still. That's not like
22 inches or 4 pounds.
That's reasonable. Yeah. Like you could catch I feel like a couple trips down certain rivers, you could catch a wild one that big. Right. But then they have the brook trout, 16 inches or 2 pounds. Yeah. If I catch a 16-inch brook trout in a wild brookie stream in Virginia, I'll retire. I'm done. Yeah. That'd be the greatest fish I've ever caught in my life.
Like we said, the brown is just ridiculous.
They're like, it's a shame how they're basically almost forcing you to chase the stocking truck, which is not fun.
Virginia is good for trout fishing, but it's not that good. No. Like the only place, if I try to catch a brown trout, like right now, you had a gun to my head, go catch a trophy brown, I wouldn't know where to go. I mean, I do. There's 2 streams in the entire state of Virginia where you have a realistic chance. There's a couple of lakes, but like I said, live scopes needed. Or you basically have to be a truck chaser and try to do the stocking stuff. And that comes with its own
set of
like you're fishing around other people. It kind of just ruins.
And then you talk to the people for like 10 minutes. They're like, "Yeah, I'm coming back tonight and cast net knees." It's like great.
I've physically seen this kid. I went to a stream that was stocked the day prior, and like as it was getting dark, this kid is in like
a tree,
ninja stancing, trying to snag them.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, and then like once you do catch one, they look like they went through a meat grinder. So it's just,
it's like you don't even want to catch a stocked one.
Right. I'm getting into dangerous territory here, in which the 4 browns I've caught that have been close have been like gorgeous fish. Like the fins are.
You're gonna catch the most just.
Yeah, that's what I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be so mad, but like. I've caught 3 or 4 fish that are within a half an inch of trophy size for Virginia. One was beautiful pink brown trout. Another one, blue-cheeked brown trout. Took a photo in the snow.
The snow, that's still like the best fish
photo I've ever taken. A butter stick brown, completely yellow, and then one that was orange and just lit up. I've caught all 4 color patterns of the browns. All the fins have been immaculate. Still haven't caught a trophy, and I'm mad because like I know I've taken all these great photos of brown trout, and I can't use those for my trophy. And I know what's gonna happen, so I'm gonna catch
that one. You're gonna catch gonna have like gills exposed.
I'm gonna catch some dumpster
fins.
pig, and it's gonna like be half zombie, and this is like
lesions all over it.
Yeah, this is the one that I'm gonna have to like try to be proud of. So
what you need is apparently is fisheye works with brown trout because it's on one.
I have some decor sitting on the table here, and it was given to me for Christmas.
Apparently, this brown trout is staring at a northern pike right now.
It's a brown trout with a literal camera strapped to it with like a watch band. It's just a gag gift, but it's funny. I've actually never sat and looked at the box, but
it has a fish-scented lens cleaner.
Yeah, it's just this gag gift of like strapping of. Actually, it's funny because it's a gag gift of a camera strapped to a fish, and that was like all the YouTube rage 2 years ago.
Yeah, there were guys like doing that. So
it's like, yeah, okay, well, I think we know where we are in 2023. We're jumping the shark
for the likes.
Yeah, so that's where we're at. But yeah, so needless to say, the angler recognition program in Virginia can be a little difficult at times, but anyway. So you need a brookie, you need a white perch, you need a hybrid striper. I think we're all kind of on the same page there. You said you want to get a 15-pound snakehead.
15-pound snakehead.
Which is a giant.
Yeah.
That's gigantic. What is your biggest to date right now?
1391, I think is what it was. Because my dad's got one just smaller than that, 1380 something.
Yeah. So I've caught a couple 12-pounders myself, like maybe 2 tops, I think, or maybe high 11s, close to 12. I don't weigh them that much. I'm not a huge snake.
That one you caught with me that you've got marked out there on your back, that one was like 33 inches. Wasn't it? That was your first double digit, I think. Mm-hmm. That one was huge.
That one, and then I caught one last year, kind of on accident. That was it was heavier, but not as long.
Yeah.
So
that was the one that like you thought was a 15-pound bowfin about to destroy the buzzbait.
Yeah. We have this one bank that we fish out on this tidal river, and it's all stumps and everything. And I
We've got that video of me catching that bowfin there.
Yeah, so that would, if you go to our YouTube channel right now, there's a
Marsh Monsters
or Monsters in the Marsh.
Yeah.
It's a video of us fishing for snakehead and bowfin, and Grant catches a mondo bowfin on there. And I called the shot. I was like, there's one on this bank. I missed him the day prior.
We've caught like a dozen off that bank, too.
So I throw this buzzbait up into the weeds, and I'm pulling it out. It's lower tide, so that some of the stumps are exposed. And there's just this wake of sheer terror, and it comes out
typically those really tall wakes, if you have a big like bowfin have that broad head, they have that big forehead on them, and their snakeheads have like a shovel kind of to their head, real flat, where bowfin have that big rounded broad head.
It's like a torpedo.
Yeah, when they're coming, like I've seen a few of them where that looks like a whale trying to eat a seal. Like the frog gets sucked under like the front of the wave, and they never leave. Yeah. They never leave the water. The frog just gets sucked under, and they just swim through it. And they've eaten it.
Yeah, but that's what happened here. Through this buzzbait, this thing comes out, obliterates it. It's like a 12-pound snake.
He thought he had a huge bowfin, which he would have been way more pumped about.
Yeah, well, bowfin are cool because like snakeheads are kind of derpy. Like they'll swim out, they'll try to hit your bait, they'll miss it, and then they'll come back for it, and it's kind of like blue balling you almost. Yeah. It's like, okay, cool. Well, that. Bowfin don't do that. Bowfin see a bait they want to eat, they wake, and it's like a heat-seeking missile.
They don't miss very
Harley
often.
and I were fishing 2018 or 19. Same deal. Same exact bait. Throwing a buzzbait. Bowfin saw it, and there was enough time between me seeing that fish wake behind the bait to turn to her to go, hey, look at that. For her to look at it, see it, and then the fish hit. Yeah. Once they lock on, they're not giving up. So
and they're a lot faster too. Like I like bowfin because you have a little bit easier shot sight casting them too. Because like you'll see them laid up on grass or on the mud, and you could just flip something in front of them and tease them a lot of times. But like when they're cruising, I've some of the cypress swamps and stuff that I fished for them. I mean, one of my favorite things to throw for them was a bluegill swim jig. Yeah. And you just always have that rigged up, and you'll just see them cruising next to the tree, and you flip it in front of them, reel it past their face, and it's just like, and slam.
Yeah.
Like they don't second guess a bait. As long as you don't spook them, they're going to crush it.
Yeah. Snakeheads are kind of like a vanity thing. Like you do it because they're fun to catch, but it's kind of like the hot button thing right now.
They miss so often too. Like it's just, you'll have them sometimes. If you get a snakehead that's like really hot, that dude will come up and goosh, 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 like hit the bait 5-6 times and never get it.
Yeah. Yeah, they're challenging. But if you get a big one, they're fun.
Yeah.
They don't fight super good. The thing about
if they're like less than 8 pounds, they don't really do much. They kind of just roll and come right into the boat.
It's all about the like 2 seconds before.
It's about the eat. Snakehead fishing is like the wake and the eat, and after the hook set, it's like okay,
cool, I caught one.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it. Bowfin are just a terror from the second you see them to the second you get them back.
Even you get them in the net, they're just rolling and exploding.
Yeah, they're all bone. They're a cool species. So I'll take bowfin over snakehead 10 times out of 10. But I don't know. There's a fun thing to fish for. You filmed a thing that came out literally today or yesterday.
Yesterday. It just came out. The Breaker brothers. They're pair of brothers. There's just 2 brothers that went around the Chesapeake Bay in 7 days. Really cool like format how they did it. It got entered into the Fly Fishing Film Festival and ended up getting picked up, so that'll be in the festival this year. But they started it, and it wasn't really fishing the bay; it was fishing the watershed. So they started up in Pennsylvania, worked their way down. They fished twice in Pennsylvania, then they went to West Virginia. Then they fished the Anacostia up in D.C. Then they came and fished with me. Then they went around the southern side of the bay to Cape Henry, and then they finished in Tangier Sound. But they started with like trout, smallmouth. They briefly fished for snakeheads on the Anacostia, and I had to help out with that a little bit. And then they decided to come down and fish with me. We got the bowfin. And then, they went around.
Snakehead in the DC area is way more difficult than down here.
Definitely.
We're like the frontier for snakehead fishing.
Yeah.
Like where northern Virginia...
where they went, that's not like... That specific river isn't like a snakehead. Yeah. It's got a lot of them, but it's not a snakehead, like hot spot by any means.
Yeah, like Virginia is like... I would say it's
the point of the video. I mean, I hate to say the point of the video wasn't the fish, but it was more of the people around the bay, and the fish are part of it, and everything the watershed touches. But like the point of that specific segment was like the Anacostia is like really gross. We need to like clean this up. Yeah. This is one of the northernmost portions of the bay, like coming in from
DC.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people up there.
Yeah, they're just talking about how nasty the Anacostia is.
Right. But yeah, I mean, so your segment was on bowfin.
Yeah.
So
that's what we were getting at. Fished one day, got a lot of it on film, and then they ended up coming back one more day just to get some more B-roll and caught a few more fish on film, and it was fun.
It's pretty cool. So David Graham, our buddy that does the podcast and the website and all that stuff with us, he kind of made a point. He catches big ones in Florida, and he catches them pretty frequently in Florida, but they fish from a pretty different way. So they don't have a catfish problem like we do. So they're able to fish with cut
we
baits.
Can't fish for them that way.
Yeah, we can't
it's
fish
impossible.
with cut bait for them up here. There's just too many blue cats, but he catches big ones on cut bait and stuff, but he said up here is like the only place he's really ever seen where you can catch them kind of on moving baits like we do. I know you probably can't up in the northern part of the country, Wisconsin or wherever, Vermont. Wherever
this like mid-Atlantic area is where it all is though, because like you see some guys down in North Carolina doing it and stuff, but like when you get further north of here, like the guys that go up there like Champlain and do it, they're not catching them on moving baits. They're catching them like sight fishing them in the mud and on the marsh. They catch them on frogs occasionally, but we could go in a cypress swamp and burn a spinnerbait and catch them. Yeah, they can't do that.
I would say Virginia and like the Mid-Atlantic is like the center of that Venn diagram.
Yeah,
we have the overlap of the big fish that they have down south, and then the overlap of actually being able to catch them on casting gear. So it's kind of neat. So, any given time, you're snakehead fishing or bass fishing.
I think David's problem with catching them on like casting and reeling is how dark that water is. He can't like sight fish them like we can.
Their water down there is super tannic. But I mean, I don't know. Some parts.
When people hear us say we have too many blue cats, if you're not from that was my chair.
Okay. It's like, what was that?
It was my chair with my extra tufts.
Gas. It's fine.
It was 100% my chair. Sorry.
Yeah.
But like when we say we have too many blue cats, like those of you who live around the Richmond area or even just in Virginia or near a tidal river, you know what we mean. Like there's nowhere on a tidal river in the state of Virginia that you couldn't go and just put a night crawler on the bottom and catch a blue cat within 10 minutes.
Yeah. They're a double-edged sword because, like, it's super fun catching the giant ones, like the 60-plus pound. Well, I don't even know if I'd say it's super fun. It's enough interest to do it for an Instagram photo.
The thing is, like those big ones, the best time to fish for them is when everything else kind of sucks. Yeah. So, like the dead of winter when you're not really doing anything else.
They're good for a photo and it's something to do. Like
I mean, they pull.
There's catfish guys right now that are hating on us big time, but it's fine. To each his own. But like as far as we're concerned and the way we look at it, like unless I'm out there trying to catch the next new world record or a triple digit or something, the blue cat is kind of just a blue cat. They're nowhere near as cool as flatheads.
No, they don't fight as good. They
don't fight that well. And there's here's the double-edged sword part. The big ones are cool. There's
80 billion little ones
in the 5 pound and less range to where you
can't. We've got side imaging pictures going next to bridge pilings where you're like, look at all the crappie
blue cats.
1 pound blue cats.
There
are flats I go to on the river to snakehead fish where, I mean, this is not an exaggeration. You cannot see the
Clouds.
End. I mean, 150-yard long schools of 2 to 5 pound blue cats over top of each other, shoulder to shoulder. I actually saw 2 blue cats stuck together because their barbs had impaled each other because they were in a freaking school so thick and they couldn't swim. I mean, this is 10,000 blue cats.
Trying to run a gill net to catch blue cats.
No, trying to run a gill net to catch bait to catch blue cats.
Right. Yes. Trying to run a gill net to catch shad. You see them on the depth finder. You go, that's definitely a school of shad. Put out a gill net. 35 5-pound blue cats. I want to kill myself. It's terrible.
Yeah,
they're a particular subject here that I'm sure we'll talk about in depth one day. But
don't ever talk about any invasive species being a problem until you talk about a blue cat.
It's a good way to tie it back in.
Yeah.
everybody is up in arms about how crazy snakehead are.
Yeah, I live for snakehead fishing. It's one of my favorite fish in the world to catch. They are an amazing sport fish. Everybody was afraid they were going to set the world on fire. Everything's going to die.
Right.
Meanwhile, I can't go 3 feet without catching a blue cat. And everyone's like, oh, the bait fish population is down. Oh, could have anything to do with these blue cats that literally are eating each other now because there's nothing left.
Blue cats in any tidal ecosystem in Virginia, really the Mid-Atlantic in general, it's overwhelming. And I don't know what happens. I don't know where we go from here. I don't really know what to do about the situation, but it is. I mean,
it has gotten bad enough to where the state had depletion stocking boats.
Yeah.
They're shocking boats.
Yeah.
Going out on certain sections of the river last summer for the past 5 years. They do it a few times a summer, and they kill every blue cat they shock.
Yeah.
And one of my buddies worked on one of those boats, not going to name any names, but he told me they went, and over the course of 3 days, they got to weight capacity on the boat every single day before noon. Shocking blue cats.
Yeah, so...
I mean...
I don't know. They're a touchy subject, as is snakehead to some
They're
people,
a sport fish. People like to catch them, but the problem is they don't have any predators here.
Right.
So...
And it's the same with snakehead. Like, once a fish of like that gets over, 2 pounds, there's not a whole lot. I mean, unless it's another catfish that's going to get it. But, I don't know. If it was flatheads, I wouldn't be complaining. They're way cooler, but they're not. They're blue cats, so I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah. So you're trying to get a 15-pound snakehead. That's pretty amicable, I would say. That's
I mean, we've seen the fish.
Goal. Yeah. Well, I've told you we need to team up and go try to hunt this world record down. The world record snakehead
it's definitely doable.
Is swimming in our tidal ecosystems around here. Virginia will have the next world record northern snakehead, and somebody at this table
literally, it could be any day from any day between April and November 1st.
Yeah.
At any given point, any day, any year, the world record could get caught.
There. It's just like any big fish. You have to find them, but then you have to be prepared to catch him.
Yeah. The average person throwing a frog for a snakehead, if they hook a 19 and a half, 20-plus pound snakehead, they're not going to catch that fish.
No,
that fish
you're going to freak out and crap your pants. And then
that fish is a different level.
Catching fish like that, especially trying to catch the new state record bowfin or any of that stuff, it's pure luck when you're dealing with that type of fish.
Yeah.
Something that's going to go absolutely batshit when you hook it. It's going to be a little tricky, but I don't know. We'll see. But I don't know. David and I are talking about maybe going to Guyana this year. We kind of have that on the books. We're going to try to film season 2 of Have Rods Will Travel. Arapaima.
Oh, yeah.
I think this Paraiba or whatever they are, this Lau, this big catfish.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of stuff. I mean, I'm down to do whatever, so whatever he kind of wants to do. I'm like, all right, can we film it? Cool, I'm down to go. But we have a few different things we're going to try to do. I mean, I obviously want to try to land my first triple-digit tarpon. That's like a recurring goal every year, and it's one that I kind of neglect every year. So hopefully this year,
I feel like if you just put enough time in,
just like anything, if you make a concerted effort to try to do it, you'll do it. It's just everything else gets in the way. You get tied up with it is what it is. But so yeah, there's some pretty lofty fishing goals, I think, within our circle of people. So I think 2023 hopefully we'll have some big things coming out of our arena. So we'll see. But I think we'll wrap this up by telling a fish story. And this one actually happened last year, so I'll set the stage and you kind of just fill in.
It's appropriate because...
Yeah, so perfect. If you happen to be watching this podcast as opposed to listening to it, or, well, if you watch, you can see what's on the wall. If you're listening, you don't know what I'm pointing at right now, but it is a framed white bass fish print by our buddy Rob Choi. That is a Virginia Trophy white bass. That is Grant's Virginia Trophy white bass. I happened to catch one basically the exact same size.
Identical to the edge. To the quarter edge.
Different days, so don't even start that.
Yeah.
It wasn't the same fish.
It was 3 days later.
Right. But Grant caught that
Couldn't have been the same fish because mine came home with us.
True, actually. But, so yeah, our buddy Rob Choi does an amazing job with these fish prints. it almost makes me want to keep every new species I catch to get him to print, but I don't know if I have that much money, and I don't know if he has that much time. But he does a great job at them. So, like I said, I'll set the stage here. You can kind of pick up where you want to. But
I don't really want to, but we'll go there.
Grant, myself, and our buddy Andy Bagwell.
This is our third year fishing for him, too.
Yeah,
it was our third year.
Third-ish year of targeting white bass. They're another tricky trophy species to try to target in Virginia because they're a target. Like they're a time of year thing. Yeah. They are not necessarily hard. Yeah. You just have a very short window when you can catch them. So I think
of this size.
The Ohio River valley, everything kind of touching the Ohio River or maybe even the Mississippi. I think they have good runs of white bass and sand bass, and that they're called different things in different places, but Virginia really doesn't. So we have one lake that still has them. It's Kerr Lake.
Bugs Island,
Kerr Lake. It's down on the Virginia-North Carolina border. And essentially what happens is 10 or 11 months out of the year, they're in the lake, and they're pretty hard to target, if not impossible.
More or less, everybody just catches them accidentally while they're crappie fishing.
Right. You'd be spider rigging for crappie, and they'll catch a white bass.
Yeah.
The absolute best time at catching them / catching a trophy is when they're making their spring spawning run
up the rivers
that feed Kerr Lake. So every year we try to do this, and it's a tricky thing because those rivers are very steep banked. They're narrow,
and it's not really a fish a lot of people talk about either. Right. So you can't really get a bead on whether they're there or not because most people that catch them just don't care. Yeah, they don't. It's not like they're posting pictures, and even the bait shops in the area, you call them, they're like, I think I heard of one get caught the other day.
Or if you're stalking Facebook, they're posted 3 weeks after when you caught them. So it takes a couple of years to sort of figure that out and know exactly what.
I mean, we were successful catching them last year. We came close. We caught a bunch that were 15.
Yeah.
But
that brings up another good point about the trip last year. So white bass, as we'll get into, have been a very interesting fish species. So they're tricky because all it takes is one good rainstorm and the rivers get blown out.
Yeah, those rivers are extremely steep banked, clay banked rivers. You spit in them and they get high.
Right. So some years you may not even have a chance. So we'll back this up to 2021. We'll talk about that, and then we'll bleed it.
Oh, yeah. We got to do the whole stuff. Okay. So we'll glaze over 2021 real quick.
I think it was me and Andy.
Yeah, when we took my boat down there.
Right. So Grant, myself, and our buddy Andy Bagwell, he's at If It Swims on Instagram, so check him out. Catches a lot of big fish, too. All three of us are level 4 master anglers at this point. At the time this story takes place, I don't think... Maybe I don't
think we were level 4s yet.
Not yet. I was, because I had...
Yeah, you were, but me and Andy weren't.
Right.
We were at 19.
Right, so we're all on a mission here. You guys are trying to get to level 4. I need my white bass to mark.
Yeah, we all legitimately needed white bass.
So we show up to the boat ramp, and Andy brings us food that morning, and I eat it, and...
instantly die.
I don't feel well. And we're on Grant's boat. I'm not feeling well, and something's up, and I have springtime allergies.
I think Andy had to use the woods, facilities of the woods before we got there.
I can't remember.
It was bad. We started that trip off. We were all in bad shape.
Yeah, so it's a 2-day fishing trip. We're down there. We fished the whole first day. I'm coughing, and I'm oh, it's my spring allergy.
Okay, this is in the middle of COVID, and for whatever reason, we were fishing and we just did not think it could have. It's not that we didn't think. Somehow it never crossed our minds that it might have been COVID.
Yeah, well.
I think we were all so numb to COVID at this point. But anyway, we're jumping ahead a little bit. But we had a good first day. We caught probably 50 white bass.
Right.
Whacked them. Caught a bunch of them.
And it's I get to the point, I don't know if
what we thought was whacking them.
Yeah.
We learned. Anyway.
But I don't know. I feel like I maybe didn't sleep the night before. Didn't sleep well or something. But I'm laying down on the boat. I'm feeling
Well, remember we left a little early so we could go get barbecue.
Right.
Went and got barbecue at the best barbecue place in the world, Rise and Smoke Barbecue, South Hill, Virginia. Yeah. Don't care what anybody says, it's the best in the world. Anyway, so we went and ate there, and then we came back, and it's hey, let's get a hotel room.
Yeah, so, right. Andy goes home. Grant and I are staying for a second day. We go to get a hotel in South Boston, Virginia, and there's nothing in South Boston, Virginia.
Just so you know what kind of area we're in, there's about 15 hotels in South Boston. There's a lot of hotels.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying they're all nice hotels, as we learned.
Yeah.
But, every hotel that you've ever heard of is booked because the drag race is in town.
Yeah.
That's the drag race,
Yeah.
not NASCAR. I'm talking, this is local drag racing.
Yeah. So
Every hotel booked.
we're quickly realizing that, hey, we're not going to have anywhere to stay. And I'm feeling like dog water at this point.
We were coming to terms with just going to Walmart and sleeping in the truck.
I wanted to go home.
Yeah,
I'm
true.
like, get me out of here right now.
This is one of the rare occasions where I talked Josh into staying
Yeah.
one more day because we caught so many fish the
Well,
day before.
you'll figure out my determination later on in the story.
Yes.
But right now, I'm like, I feel like ass. I think I'm dying. It had not occurred to me yet that I might have COVID.
We sat at that gas pump at Sheetz for an hour. I was calling every hotel.
Yeah.
Nah, man, we're booked. Oh, yeah, we got one room left. Presidential Suites, $800
Yeah,
a night
I'm
at
just
Motel 6. I'm like, bro,
Praying
no.
Grant throws his arms up and goes, screw it, let's go home. But, of course,
Alas.
the one time I want Grant to throw in the towel, he doesn't. So we end up finding America's Best Value Inn. Now, when you have that many descriptive words in your...
The immediate red flag was everywhere else in South Boston was booked weeks ago.
Right.
But America's Best Inn, all the vacancy in the world.
When you have that many descriptive words in your name, it should give you an idea about what the quality is. So anyway, we find a room. We show up. The guy just hands Grant the key
Behind bulletproof glass.
behind bulletproof glass. We're like, okay, what the hell?
Usually there's like some rules, like, hey, don't smoke in the room. This dude's just like,
Right.
you got $60, here's a room key.
Right, okay. Well, needless to say, we pull up and we're like, all right, this isn't the greatest place we've ever stayed. Well, we start looking around. There are actual prostitutes.
We're being watched from the second floor balconies
There are
from all angles.
literal prostitutes discussing payment outside front doors of apartments on the balcony. I'm like, Grant, we have made a grave mistake.
And we realized we weren't going to be able to get our money back.
When your
So
head touches the pillow, you're immediately going to get herpes. There's no way around this. So anyway, like, all right.
long story short, we pull the boat up in front of the room. I'm like, bro, we got to take it all out.
Nope, you're rushing the story.
How?
You're rushing the story. Grant pulls the truck and trailer. This is a motel. This is not a hotel. This is a motel. You pull up.
Yeah.
Right. Grant pulls the truck and trailer into the parking lot, only to find out that the parking lot is incredibly tight at the end of it, in which, it's like it sweeps down and to the right to pull out. So imagine we're up on a hill, and to get out, you got to go down a hill.
But
There's
to
this
go down that hill is a 90-degree turn between two brick walls.
cinder block, just freaking out. Okay, well, Grant's trying to make the turn. I'm out of the truck. I'm trying to help him.
I have an 18.5-foot boat and a full-size Chevy Silverado. This is not a small rig we're trying to turn.
To fish Jesus that Grant keeps it together so he can make it through. Because we have millimeters to work with. Well,
He didn't tell me how tight it
No,
was.
it was hella tight. Like, you could not have fit a hand in between
We made
the
it.
truck.
We're good.
We're not done yet. Not done yet. As Grant is in this highly stressful situation,
DMX had just died.
he's screaming into the microphone. I don't even know if we're going to be... This is our first podcast, folks. If it's blown out, I'll have to adjust the audio.
It's fine. It's going to be good.
I'm sorry.
R.I.P.
DMX had just died. Like, DMX probably
Changed
wasn't even in the
Josh's
ground
life.
yet. Yeah, DMX... Side tangent. If you ever need the fish to bite and you're having a bad day, turn on DMX. The dog gets him going. I don't know what it is.
This was before he died, too. This isn't after the grave juju.
No.
This is it's forever.
Yeah, I was on the DMX train years ago.
Yeah.
If the fishing's ever touched, DMX, NWA, real gangster rap, it'll get him going. You'll start catching fish. But besides the point. So Grant is sweating, trying to get this truck and trailer, trying not to scratch up his brand new boat. This girl pulls up behind us, and we'll keep everything pretty PC with what happened. But blasting DMX, laying down on the horn, and I
screaming
am outside
obscenities.
the car knowing Grant is about to melt down. Luckily,
I kept it cool.
he kept it cool. We got it through there. We're like, all right, let's just park the truck and trailer on the back 40 in the shadows. Nobody will break in if they can't see it. That fell through immediately. So
we parked over there and like 8 cars drove in.
Yeah.
Headlights light up the whole rig, and we're sitting there just like we probably looked like we were breaking into the vehicle.
Yeah. So we're basically sweating, almost certain that we're going to come back with less stuff than we brought with us. I'm physically dying of COVID. Just
we didn't know.
Wanting it. Yeah, I didn't know, but like I felt like ass. It was bad. So he ends up parking the boat, truck and trailer under like a street light out.
I end up just saying the hell with it. I get in the truck. I go and park the boat literally right in front of the office under a street light right next to the road.
Right.
Even did the like little anti-theft thing where you back one wheel up onto the curb and one wheel's in the parking lot. I was like, no, they're not getting it. Took everything off the boat. Took the trolling motor out. I took my life jackets out.
I carried the Minn Kota power drive trolling motor through the parking lot to the hotel room.
We had every single object that was stealable off that boat.
Right.
Other than my batteries.
Well, anyway, we get in there and... Like I said, I'm physically dying of COVID. I think I went and stood in the shower for like an hour.
I thought you fell asleep.
No. I mean, I might have.
In the shower. I think you did.
Okay, I fell asleep in the shower. That's besides the point.
I took a quick shower, got in bed.
I used all of America's Best Value in hot water. It was brown. That's besides
140 rooms that did not get hot water that night.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't think they were using it anyway. I don't think anybody there was taking a shower. But we go, and Grant's been asleep for an hour at this point. I lay down.
We did skip over one part. We're going this real quickly. When we walk into the room, the dude that's standing outside of our room, right next to our room, this is the dude that we're sharing a wall with.
Guarantee you.
He's in jail right now.
He's in jail right now.
That dude was on the phone.
Prison.
Not even trying to hide it. He's like, yeah, man, I got my stuff out of there before she got home. There's no way the cops know where I am.
Yeah.
He's like, is there any chance you could float me like $300 or $400 just so I could get like out of the state before they can find me?
Yeah. So 2 doors down's a literal murderer.
There's someone who is evading the police as we speak.
Yeah.
And we got in that room, we closed the curtains, we locked every lock on the door, and I think we might have considered borrowing a chair against the door.
I had a gun. So we were fully prepared.
Oh, yeah, it was in your toolkit.
Yeah. I carried a DeWalt bag with a pistol in it, just in case.
You literally said, go get my toolkit.
Go to work. Yeah, go get my toolkit. Go get my tool bag. Anyway, so I lay down, coughing my guts up. I think I'm pounding ibuprofen or something. I don't know. But anyway, it's like 4 in.
Sweating to death.
Every room attached to
is screaming.
So 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. Yeah. All 3 sides, and the person above us
actively screaming,
actively
fighting, screaming, children, whatever.
Bad. We are not doing well. I want to leave. I'm sweating. I'm like, I'm gonna go turn on the AC unit. I walk over to the AC unit. It is a window unit that has been framed into the wall. We're in a real good place here. There's no way, like, it's 50-50 shot that place had bed bugs, but we never got them, so apparently it did. I go to push the button on the AC unit. Finger goes into the AC unit.
Literally through the instrument panel.
I am knuckle deep in wires and broken plastic. No AC is going to be happening. So I just get to sweat there for another 3 hours until we get up to go fishing.
We woke up and have never pieced out of a hotel room as fast.
Terrible. So
the good thing was that the most silent that place has ever been was at like 7 a.m. the next morning.
Yeah. It was a long night for everybody.
We went back and fished the next day, uneventful.
Yeah.
Left by like 3:30.
Didn't get stabbed. All of our stuff was still there.
That trip came to an end. We caught a lot of fish, learned a lot of stuff. Then the rivers blew out like 2 days later. We didn't get to get back down there.
For COVID the day I got back.
Literally, and me and Andy were within 5 feet of him the whole time we were fishing.
Yeah.
I was in a truck with him for 5 hours.
Yeah, it was bad COVID too. Like I was down for like 3 weeks. It was we're not. No, it was bad.
Some really. We'll do that in the extended cut of the podcast.
Pants, like it was bad.
There are a lot of really bad things happened to Josh.
Yeah.
Some horrible things.
Yeah. Anyway,
but
got over COVID. Next year rolls around.
Harley's shaking her head.
It was terrible.
Harley thought she witnessed a murder.
Yeah, it was terrible. Anyway, besides the point.
Fast forward to this past year.
2022.
2022. Spring of 2022.
Go back down there. We fished for a couple days.
Perfect conditions.
Apparently, I'd picked up some sort of like...
Oh, God. Yeah, you were freaking dying again.
Yeah. I
forgot about that.
Cellulitis.
Josh's thumb was the size of a grapefruit.
It's my pointer finger. It was 4 times the size and purple. And I'm like, I should probably go to the ER, but let's
You know how
just
people
keep
drink
fishing.
tea with their pinky out? Josh was holding his spinning rod with his index finger out,
I was
just like
reeling
this.
with all the other fingers. Yeah, it was terrible. So, you wonder how I end up catching all these fish. It's because I'm stubborn as shit. But
It won't go home.
won't go home. So, literally my finger's throbbing. We caught a bunch of good fish the first day. Grant puts my trolling motor on. He takes it off of the boat, takes it to the hotel room, being nice, helping me out, puts it back on, doesn't put the cotter pit in.
I put the cotter pit in, but it was wrong. So literally, we didn't realize that the trolling motor just wasn't attached.
The motor's just free balling. It could have fallen off between the trip back to Richmond at any time.
I was about to pass out that night,
Totally
too.
fine. Totally fine. Anyway, that day. Oh, we skipped over the fun part. We found white bass. The whole point.
Found big white bass. Some of the biggest white bass we'd ever caught.
The whole point of the story.
Yes.
Grant catches a white bass.
Well, the funny thing was, some of the guys that we see their pictures and we knew where they fished roughly, and we finally found these dudes.
Fishing intuition.
Yes.
We ruled them out. We had fished every other body.
We literally fished every other place they could have possibly been.
They were broadcasting that they were catching fish. We weren't doing anything out of the ordinary. We fished everywhere else. We knew where they probably were. I told Grant, I have an idea where these guys are. Roll down river. They're sitting in the spot. Bingo. Puzzle is solved. We know where we
found
go
them
to catch trophy white bass.
Yeah.
Guess what? You don't want people to use social media, don't post on social media. I'm not going to pretend like I didn't see you catch 300 trophy white bass.
Literally posting 5 times a week. I caught 96 of them by 11:15.
Right.
Like,
granted, he never posted his location, and I already knew about the spot. We had just ruled everything else out.
Well, the whole reason we were fishing the one river is because we had seen pictures of him literally at the ramp.
Right.
Anyway.
That's how you got to play this trophy fishing stuff for like the master angler list.
Take every piece of information you can get a hold of.
Right. We're not going to go there and blow the dude's spot up and fish white bass every day.
No, we don't even say where we catch the fish.
Yeah, we just go, catch our fish, keep moving. Nobody's any of the wiser. It's fine. So sometimes, a lot of times we find stuff on our own. I mean, most of the time we find stuff on our own.
I mean, there's only been a handful of species we've had to like really social media.
You get help from people, like knowledge and information. You put the puzzle together. But sometimes it's like, okay.
I can't think of any time I've had someone literally like hand me a spot.
No, and that's the same in this case. It's not like they went, hey, go fish here.
Yeah.
We just knew where they weren't, so we knew where they.
I mean, there were 5 possible rivers or 4 possible rivers.
And we ruled them all out.
We literally fished all of them except this one.
And this one particular place, it's like, okay, well, that's the only place they could be. Yeah. We rolled down
so
river, they're there.
They're sitting there, beautiful. We say, well, we're not going to get all up in their shit. Like, we know they're there.
They're there. We left them their spot. We went, fished everything else around.
Kind of got a little shitty with us, to be honest with you.
That's fine. It is
we rolled down and just being friendly. Like, y'all catching them? Like, he said, no.
Don't get too specific of who we're talking. Just
no. Josh says, don't lie to me, man. He said, don't ask questions you don't know the answer to, or you already know the answer. It's like, oh, okay.
Like, okay. So, anyway, we gave them their berth.
Yeah,
they did their thing.
We were barely anywhere near them.
Yeah, we start fishing.
We actually run upriver a few hundred yards from them and fishing some like ditch mouths and stuff.
Yeah, so what white bass do is they run out of the river and they're looking for shallow ditches to spawn.
Any current break to stage in before they get to where they want to spawn.
That's the big thing. Right, correct. They spawn in shallow, rocky areas. On the way there, a lot of these rivers are heavy current, and they use any little.
Anything. A little cut in the bank, a ditch, a pocket, whatever.
So we're fishing ditches. It's literally where rain has carved out a ditch into the river over time. There may not even be any water flowing in. It's just a current break. Grant catches a big one. We go, all right, awesome. We did it. Grant got his trophy white bass. Level 4 master angler. Nailed it. We're done.
Citation white bass is 16 inches or 2 pounds, which is big, but not like otherworldly, but it's big white bass for Virginia.
Right.
Put the fish on the measure board is like 15 3/4. It was short as 16, but I was like, that's a pretty fat one.
Yeah.
Weighed it. Yeah. And we, for whatever reason, had our wires crossed between white perch and white bass.
Yeah.
Because a white perch citation is 1 pound, 4 ounces.
Right. They look very... it was just an accident.
First off, they look freaking identical.
Yeah.
Like, without...
A big white perch and a little white bass are
very hard to tell because their stripes on the white bass don't become super prevalent. But anyway, catch this fish, hang it on the scale, like 1.8 pounds.
Crushed
I'm
it.
like, what is? I'm like, bro, boom,
Crushed
blew it out the
Slam
water.
dunk.
Like, done. We took pictures of it, posted it live on Instagram. Like, bam,
Caught,
level 4. What's up?
Boom, new level. Your post. Verbatim. There's a new level 4 in town. Boom, nailed it. Big deal.
We were high-fiving. That fish was in the live well. We ended up releasing that fish.
Yeah.
Why, you might ask? Because we called our buddy Andy Bagwell. Actually, our buddy Andy Bagwell, if it swims on Instagram, we talked about him earlier, calls us.
Because he saw the post.
And he says, dude, how big was it? That's awesome. I'm so glad you guys. Like, man, it's 15 3/4 inches. He's like, was it over 2 pounds? I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, it wasn't 16 inches. I was like, it has to be 1.4 pounds. Like, nah, it's 2. And Josh immediately looks at me. His eyes are as big as dinner plates. He's like,
oh, no.
We messed up.
Yeah, I'll take the heat for that because I'm usually like, sure,
I ask him because he's the one who always remembers it verbatim.
Imprinted in my brain. And it's just, I don't know, somewhere along the line, I dropped the ball. So Andy's like, hey, I hate to break it to you, but that's not a citation. After Grant made this post, 100 people, congratulations.
So, dude, hundreds.
This is a big deal. There's not a lot of upper echelon.
There's like 8 people that have ever been a level 4 in Virginia.
Up until that point.
Whatever.
Yeah. It's more now because they expanded the program. There's more easier species. So there's probably more level 4s, but it's still a huge accomplishment. You're talking 20 species, 20 different
trophy species.
Yeah. It's a ton. So to catch a new one, any new one you can mark off the list is just a huge accomplishment.
Especially one that we had spent 3 years going down there fishing for.
Once you get into like the last 10 or 12, like it's a big deal.
So immediately, spirits crushed.
Yeah.
We're now at an all-time low.
I'm still getting congratulations on
I'm getting congratulations on Facebook all the way till I lay my head down to sleep that night. In the back of my mind, I'm like, what am I going to do?
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is we're sitting in the boat and Grant's like, I have to delete that post. I'm like, wait, let's think.
We got one more day.
Let's think about
Can we clutch this?
If we back out, we're going to look like idiots. But
there's still a chance.
There's a chance we come out tomorrow and do it. We just I remember, I told you.
Our whole game plan, I said, Josh, we got to wake up at 4 tomorrow.
Yeah.
We got to beat those guys here.
Yeah.
I said, I don't care if we have to launch in the dark. Their boat's faster than yours.
Yeah.
Like, we got to be here.
Yeah.
At daybreak. Luckily, I mean, we had the place to ourselves for like the entire day.
Yeah.
No one ever showed up.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that busy. But it was just funny because it's like, okay, well, do I delete this post? It's like, no.
The goal now was not only we need a citation white bass, but I'm going to look like an idiot.
Yeah, now we got to double down. We have to clutch up.
There's so much more on the line all of a sudden.
At that point, we load up, we get to the hotel room, we order a bunch of Chinese food.
I did not sleep one wink.
Determining whether or not I need to go to the emergency room because my finger's going to fall off. I said, I'll get
At that point, he was not going. We were not going to the emergency room.
Motor off the boat. We sleep, get up the next morning. Grant barely puts the trolling motor on. Now we're into the next day. Okay.
Yeah. We get there flawless. We've never really seen white bass doing like people say they do.
Yeah, right.
We got there, and there's white bass everywhere. They're
blowing
up.
5:30 in the morning in the fog, super cool. It's freezing. I don't have.
We were just happy when we got to the ramp. There were no trailers.
I literally have to put my hand like in my jacket because my finger's throbbing because it's literally purple. I'm probably going to get septic pretty soon or sepsis or whatever. We get to the spot. We start casting, and it's a slugfest.
By 9 a.m., we had caught 100 white bass.
I think it was literally 96 white bass by 9 a.m.
Yeah.
We absolutely crushed
it. Was the dumbest fishing you've ever witnessed. Like, if you're from Virginia and around Richmond, you know what shad fishing can be like, where it's just mass. It was worse than that.
Yeah. Or schoolie, striper, any
it was the dumbest thing you've ever witnessed in your life.
2 at a time. I mean, it's nuts. You're catching them on fly rod, all that stuff.
I did not start catching them on a fly rod until it was about the 40th fish of the day.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I was a half second from just dropping it back in the water.
Yeah.
And I said, I need to put this one on the board.
Yeah.
And Josh's like, I fished it in 16 inches. I put it on the board. It's 16 and a quarter.
Yeah.
I said, we did it.
Well, you got to realize, like, when you're catching a fish literally at the cast and the fish you caught isn't, like, abnormally large.
I mean, we probably caught...
Don't waste the time. Throw it back. Keep it moving.
In that weekend, we probably caught 50 white bass between 15 and 16 inches, and only one of them was over 16.
Yeah, it's tricky. You're talking about schooling fish, and they usually run upriver in relatively the same size. So when you're catching 14 inches, you're catching 14s. You're catching 15s. Anyway, you caught that fish.
The benefit of this one spot we're fishing, it's a massive area, like big eddy for them to sit in. Yeah. So, like, you have a wide variety of fish that are going to be there.
Well, Grant catches his citation. Super cool. He switches over to fly rod. Now
instantly so much relief off my shoulders. And then proceed to catch like 40 on a fly rod.
I'm trying to catch mine. I'm massacre. Like, surely the fish gods will bless me with a trophy white bass. My fingers turning black. Grant's got his. I helped him catch his. We're in the situation. I'm toughing it out. I'm sure I'll catch mine. We're catching a fish every cast. 9 a.m. rolls around. They shut down. Gone. They are not.
I think we caught, like he said, 96 by 9 a.m. and by like 2 p.m. we'd caught like 105.
Yeah.
I mean, it was over as soon as the sun got above the trees.
So it's like, shit, I didn't catch the one I need. What am I going to do? It's Sunday.
We ended up leaving at like...
to go back to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, we stayed a little bit while... Well, we had to leave so I could literally go to patient
We left
first.
at like 1:30 or 2 o'clock. We didn't leave late.
I had to go to the clinic because my finger's falling off.
Yeah.
So, we leave, go to the clinic, get pills. Everything's fine. I'm healing up. I call Andy.
Because the full moon was coming.
Right. I'm like, Andy, we figured it out.
We got him.
Full moon's coming. Rain's coming. We have to go back. Andy runs a successful business in town. He can't just bail out. He's got workers and stuff. So sometimes I have to twist his arm in these situations. I twisted a little bit. He agreed. We go back.
We left on a Sunday. Y'all went back on a Tuesday. Y'all went back 2 days later.
Yeah, we went back pretty quickly. And we get down there, same deal. Get down. Found my trolling motor, not attached. Attached my trolling motor. I just have to keep reiterating. It's part of the story.
Yeah.
Attach the trolling motor, roll down river, get to the spot, same deal. Just ridiculous. Lighten it up. I go, boom, catch my citation. Andy's stoked for me. And it doesn't get me to a new level. It's just I caught my white bass.
It's another species, though.
Yeah, I can mark it off cool.
Well, it's like the only ones that really get you hype are like every fifth one. But in order to get to that fifth one, you still got to catch 4 before that.
Or ones that are like obscenely hard.
Yeah,
like
difficult fish.
Northern pike or something like that. But so I've got my white bass. Grant's got his white bass. I got him to level 4. Andy's sitting at 19 species. He needs one more to get to level 4. So I don't know. This is just how I am. If I want everybody to be successful. So Andy's catching. I was using an Alabama rig, and I noticed I caught
little baby Alabama rig, like the crappy one.
Yeah, small one. I caught 2 citations, boom, boom. I'm like, oh, this thing's working. Like, the bigger fish are hitting it. I hand it to Andy. Literally the first cast Andy makes with it, boom, citation white bass.
Done.
We all catch our white bass. I was able to help Andy and get paid back for suffering with you for my finger. Everybody walked away happy. You didn't look like an idiot.
That was the best part.
Yeah. So it's
ultimate clutch.
Yeah, it was a pretty fun deal. So we all, I think 4 white bass were caught 4 trophy white bass were caught between the 3 of us. I got 2 of them. Andy got 1. Grant got 1. One of mine was...
the print up. I mean, the one Josh caught was almost identical dimensions to that fish. So
so I got a white bass print that's hanging here on the wall in our studio. That's Grant's fish. And
the fish that almost never was.
Yeah, the fish that saved Grant from looking like an idiot on social media. So, I don't know. Just an interesting story of gritting out.
It also speaks to, like, the character of the fisherman, too, because... we didn't have to tell anybody. Like, if you were a lesser person, I could have just been like, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's 15 3/4. You're talking about 1/4 of an inch.
And like an ounce.
Yeah, nobody's going to notice that. But it's you do these.
You don't want to leave a doubt. I don't like neither one of us. We've talked about it before. Neither one of us wants to be the person that has any doubt.
Yeah.
If you're posting a picture of a citation, I'm going to have a picture of either the fish on the scale where it's legal or on the measuring board, so you can't say that fish isn't what it is.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, this entire program runs on an honor system, more or less. So it's like, if you're lying about stuff, what's the point?
Yeah.
It's not, nobody's winning $1 million off of this. You're not.
You just cheat yourself.
The only people that care are the people that do it.
Yeah.
So it's like, why lie? Why go fish a stock trout pond and catch 400 rainbow trout and turn them all in? Why do any of that? But it's fine. You know, it's about the hunt, and it's about the journey of catching the species and the stories of.
Yeah, if you're just doing it for the piece of paper and to say that you did it, like you're missing the point.
That's the target.
It's the target, and it's the final, you know.
It's the podium.
That's what you receive for doing it, but
it's the finish line. The race getting there is almost dying of COVID, staying in a drug hotel with prostitutes, your finger almost falling off, not lying, but mistakenly posting that you caught a trophy white bass when you didn't, and you're like, oh shit, all right, do I delete this and pretend it never happened when everybody saw it?
When over 150 people congratulated me.
Great, just leave it up for 24 hours, we'll catch one and nobody will know. It's fine. So
clutched it
up, getting your buddy, helping your buddies catch their trophies, literally handing them the rod and like passing the torch, and then making a cast and catching their trophy on the very next cast. I mean, it's all fun. And the funny thing about it is literally Andy caught that fish and the fishing shut down like 20 minutes after that. So it's just all that type of stuff is what goes into chasing trophy fish and like choosing to walk down this path. Like fishing is one of those things where it's like race car driving. There's so many different disciplines: drag racing, NASCAR, dirt track, all that stuff. Fishing's the same way: surf fishing, kayak fishing, fly fishing, micro fishing, trophy fishing. I mean, there's so many different things you could do. You know, fishing can be anything you want it to be. It can be a relaxing bobber and a worm and going and killing time and trying to find the will to live another day, or it could be throwing all your money at trying
chasing
to catch
fish.
A white bass.
Yeah, fish that a lot of people don't even care about.
And risking your health and your finances.
I mean, it's
trying
like
to catch something nobody really
cares. It's like
cares
this past weekend, went white perch fishing. Yeah. Like, turned down 2 different offers to do fishing that I would much rather do. But for whatever reason, I keep dragging myself to chase a stupid white perch. The whole reason I'm dragging myself to do it is because when I catch that fish, I know I don't have to think about that fish anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a good time of year for them because
they all
fish species like that school up. Water gets cold.
It's still though, just the fishing is so boring.
But we get down there. We've had some weird weather here lately. It got down to like the negative.
They don't eat
in negative degrees a couple days, and then it's up in the water temps are 50.
The water temperatures are 50. Where a week and a half ago there was ice on the lake.
Yeah, and
needless to say, they
marked all kinds of schools. Nothing ate.
Yeah.
So, but just that one day trip, I found out the tire to my boat is like ready to come off at any point. The tire to my truck. I never stop long enough to like do maintenance and like take care of my stuff. I'm just like constantly fishing, and I don't know. You find stuff on the fly like that. So boat trailer tire almost rolls off. Luckily, we fixed it, and then I walked outside yesterday and found the cowling to my 8-horse motor is missing. So that's gone now. Don't know.
Was it on the boat when we got to my house?
I don't know. It was dark. I don't know.
I saw it was off. I didn't realize it was missing.
Yeah, it's gone. It flew off. I don't know. It's been on there.
You never even took it off.
Couldn't tell you. Somebody might have stole it. I don't know what happened. It's not on there now. So now I have an 8-horse that's going to sound like an 80 because it's not muffled anymore. I don't know. I just feel like that's how my life just kind of is. It's like, all right.
I saw when I got here that the cowling was off. I was like, oh, he must have been messing with that fuel leak.
Nope. I was just bragging on that motor 2 days ago about how it's never let me down, how great it is.
That's still not going to let you down. It's going to look ugly.
Yeah, it just yeeted my cowling off, probably on 95 somewhere, laying in the center. I don't know.
I know that thing had a cowling on it when we got to my house. We would have noticed that.
I don't know. If you see a cowling in a ditch by your house, pick it up for me. But if anybody has an 8-horsepower Mercury 1996 two-stroke cowling they want to send in, I'll have a P.O. box set up for the next time you can send it to. I don't know. But anyway, that's That's our podcast. We're sitting at an hour and 30-ish minutes right now.
That's probably good about average length.
Yeah, it's hard to go past an hour and a half, I think. It's a lot of talking. But that kind of gives you the idea of the structure of this podcast. We'll have some updates on fishing news and stuff like that. We'll talk about kind of our latest happenings. And then we might tell a story or take listener questions. If you want to email questions in or just subject stuff for us to talk about, do it haverods@gmail.com. Just put Peelin Drag Podcast in the subject and then put whatever questions. We can answer them here as we're filming this and give us something good to talk about because we'll run out of stories eventually. But be sure to check out the other podcasts on the Have Rods Will Travel Podcast Network. We have the Peelin Drag Podcast, Boundless Pursuit with David Graham, Species Specific with myself, and the Have Rods Will Travel Podcast with David and I.
And don't forget to scroll around through the website too. Got a whole bunch of different information on there. We're going to be adding new stuff all the time.
Yep. We have the haverodswilltravel.com website.